you kidding me with that catch, JJ?
That's how you stand up. That's how you stand up.
And that's the ball game. Touchdown, Vikings.
Happy Halloween week. This is a spooky edition of Vikings Weekly. I'm your host, Tatum Everett, and it's a treat that we get to see the Vikings play in primetime Sunday night football when they face the Colts at US Bank Stadium, presented by Land O'Lakes. No tricks here. We have an exciting show for you as Minnesota hopes to get back into the win column in front of the best crowd in the NFL. Coming up in the show, you've seen the photo, but what was it like on set when JJ and Ant teamed up? We take a behind-the-scenes look at their shoot day with conversations you can only hear here. Plus, comedian Cy Amundsen is joined by another comedian and Colts fan, Megan Gailey, who shares her hilarious viewpoint from the last time the Vikings and the Colts played. In the spirit of the spooky season, the Vikings hosted their annual Halloween fashion show alongside M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital. Vikings players and patient ambassadors teamed up to strut their stuff down the runway. I was lucky enough to MC this event, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I mean, it's cool that it has become this yearly thing, and it's just awesome to get, together with the community, bring some joy into people's lives who are facing some hardships, and it's fun because it's quick and like you're changing in and out of costumes, everyone's sweating, but at the end of the day, it's a really fun thing.
I've never done anything like this before, and I had an absolute blast. This one day could have made their whole week or a whole month, and that makes me happy. So I had a ton of fun today, and I cannot wait to do it again next year.
I really like Dan Feeney's Ken outfit from Barbie. I thought that was really good because he's got the mullet. I mean, it all goes well together. He was also in a tuxedo, which I thought was sharp. Me personally, I was a beekeeper at one point, so that was really cool. So yeah, there were some good ones.
Well, one, I think it just bonds us as an O-line together. And I think, the big guys are like, oh, we're kind of like the scary, we're a big old lineman and whatnot. But honestly, we're like the nicest group, really. And we love working with kids. And you can just see on each and every one of our faces and just how we wanted to be there for the kids. So I'm glad this is like an O-line specific thing. But I just love that, just something that's just for the O-line and to do for the kids in the community.
The only thing better than seeing our players fully embrace their costumes were the smiles on the patient ambassadors' faces. And I have a feeling there were several kids dressed up as these two guys for Halloween. ESPN just profiled the two biggest sports stars in Minnesota, the Vikings' Justin Jefferson, Timberwolves' Anthony Edwards, comparing their stardom to Randy Moss and Kevin Garnett. Fans, you have been asking for the recreation of this photo, and you finally got it. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at that day.
These guys there's such natural parallels to Moss and Garnett from their coolness factor, from their success on the field, and for the city that they play in.
Come on, man. How you doing, Justin? Nice to meet you. Where I'm at.
And there's a charisma and personality, to both Justin and Ant. The photo does have a very vivid image in my mind and from my childhood. Moss and everything football-wise, you can't go up for a pass or try to catch something over anybody in any sport now without trying to Moss them.
We said before the game we wanted to win like champs. Let's put this drive together and look like a champ.
And KG was always like this huge personality and made the Timberwolves a team that you played with on NBA Live or 2K or whatever video game that it would have been. And there's a reason that those personalities have broken through to people, so far, because they both do have a lot of layers to them and a lot of fun layers that I think sports fans really see as kind of a throwback to a previous generation.
Touchdown, Vikings!
Seeing those two in that space as young black athletes that were really taking over a city was just something that was impactful for me growing up.
Anthony
You know, it's already been a conversation. You think it's an easier transition for basketball players to go to football or football players to go to basketball?
Yeah, I think it's easier, yeah.
Football
players can't go play basketball.
You crazy. And y'all go get hit,
Nah.
and y'all be like, oh, nah, this is not for me. Going back to basketball.
Nah, and I can guard a tight end for sure. Yeah. Put me on one of them tight ends. Besides, like,
So you think you can? So you think you can
Travis
guard
Kelce.
Trav? That's what I'm saying.
Probably not Kelce and Kittle, but everybody else, I got a good chance.
They both have a lot of parallels to each other. They're charismatic in different ways.
But
Y'all
not
can't
all.
come play basketball though.
Crazy.
Ain't no way.
I was about to
It's
say,
too much
Justin,
skill.
who can step
Just
on the
off
basketball
my
court?
athletic ability, I'm gonna score at least.
No, not in the NBA.
You crazy. I was athletic. I was able to move, cut. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the ball might not come with me, but
They work on I work out with receivers and cornerbacks because they be working on their footwork.
Like releases and
I already know.
that saying?
Saying you be.
hell yeah. I feel like I have a ball in my hand. Hey, y'all.
My shoe by $800 shoe.
Nice.
That we would love.
All right, we're gonna have y'all change it to the jerseys now. I bet. Yeah.
You real old head, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Take that first look.
Coming up the middle. What? Coming up the middle. You and whoever.
Me and Derrick Henry.
What? Going for Derrick Henry.
I ain't gonna pop him, but I'm gonna hit that. For sure. When I was a kid,
Henry.
We the same size. It's just boy 6'4".
but look the feet. If I lifted like y'all, I'd be Derrick Henry. Think about that. I'm too boy.
Oh yeah, I can rock this. Have it ball.
Here you go, right here. There you go. There you go.
All right, boom. Let's play pig. Let's go.
You ready? You got your little warm up in?
Yeah, let's
Want
do
me
it.
to go first or you
I
go
don't
first?
need no warm up.
You got the football, so you can go first.
Tony Romo.
There we go. About time.
I'm gonna hit this before you hit that. I don't just be talking. I don't just be talking, man.
See, this too tight for me.
Yeah, like that's uncomfortable.
I'm old school, bro.
Bro, we have to get help to put our pads on. Like we can't just put it on.
See, I'm old school, bro. I'm wearing big everything. Big jersey.
You see how it's slippery right here? I can't really grab it. That's how it's supposed to be. If it's too loose, then it's gonna
You can
grab
grab me. I ain't tripping. Go ahead. I'm gonna break that.
Moss, KG, 2000. Your 2000 is when they posed for this photo. When y'all look at this, what does it represent to you? What does it mean to y'all when y'all think about this photo?
The greats, the Minnesota greats. I mean, they definitely had Minnesota on lockdown, so.
For that full behind-the-scenes video, you can check out Vikings.com or the Vikings app. When the Vikings and Colts meet on Sunday, it will be the first time since the largest comeback in NFL history. On December 17th, 2022, the Vikings rallied from 33 points down to beat the Colts in overtime 39-36. For Vikings fans, it's one of the most exciting moments in franchise history. For Colts fans, not so much, as comedian Megan Gailey told our own Cy Amundsen on the latest episode of the Tailgate podcast.
How did you experience the greatest comeback? How did your brain receive that meltdown, let's call it, from your side?
Honestly, and I will be bringing this up in therapy, you mentioning it, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then as you were talking, I was like, oh yeah. It was like a suppressed memory. It was like a trauma that I blocked out that now I am meeting with a trauma psychologist to try and get it out of me. And I'm like, this has to be witness tampering. This is messed up. I actually like the Vikings. I find the NFC North to be a really fascinating sort of microcosm of football. So when the Colts have disastrous things against It was when Jeff Saturday was the coach.
Yes, correct.
I went to the first Jeff Saturday coach game. It was in Vegas, and the Colts won. They beat the Raiders.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were like, maybe this works, like it really was like, oh my God, this was so fun. I saw Reggie Wayne the night before, and I was just drunk enough that I went up to him and I said, they should have made you coach, which they should have, because he was actually on staff already. And he goes, out of my hands, so I was putting in work on the ground too, to try and make sure this all worked out. And then that game, that Minnesota game, it really, I think, drove home, like, you do need an actual coach.
Yeah.
You can't, and like, I still listen to Jeff Saturday. I love PTI. He's on PTI almost every week.
He's really good on PTI.
So good. I think a lovely man, super kind, took that on the chin, pretty much like a champ. But it was just like, yeah, you need a coach. It was probably a good lesson for like all sports fans to be like, you can't just like have a guy who's good at something, JJ Redick, and then just put them in there and like cross your fingers. Like you kind of need somewhat of a pedigree to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Watch and listen to that episode of The Tailgate on the Vikings app. Coming up, I sit down with Stefan Gilmore, and he ranks 3 of his most memorable interceptions. Plus, Kevin O'Connell shares what he needs to see from his offense this weekend in the latest episode of X's and O's. Stay tuned.
Touchdown, Vikings!
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back into Vikings Weekly. I'm Tatum Everett, and it's going to be an electric night at US Bank Stadium when the Vikings host the Colts in Sunday Night Football presented by Land O'Lakes. One player who is very excited about the night game is Stefan Gilmore. He says that's because the Vikings have one of the loudest fan bases in the league. I sat down with him this week to talk about his time in Minnesota so far and how he wants to be remembered. The one in London marked your 32nd career interception. How has the feeling changed over the years when you pick the ball off?
It's fun, I see a lot of guys like dancing and stuff. It's kind of like new to me, but sometimes I can't believe I have 32 career picks because, you kind of just playing. You're not really thinking about, how many picks you have. So it's always a blessing to go out there and step out on the field and make plays.
You only need 3 more to match Harrison Smith's number.
Yeah.
I mean, do I feel a competition potentially brewing here?
He told me that.
Did he?
He got a lot of picks. It'll be great to catch him. That's one of the goals, to get up there. And you always, fighting for legacy. You're always trying to leave your mark.
What do you hope your legacy is?
I mean, be one of the greatest corners to ever play the game, really. That's why I still play the game, just because I still love it. And, my kids, look up to me. They play ball. So to be one of the greatest corners one day, probably be in the Hall of Fame, that's the goal.
I was talking to Patrick Jones, your teammate, and he was saying it is kind of crazy to walk down the hall and you're like, hey, Stefan, what's up? But then you're like, that's Stefan Gilmore.
Yeah.
and it's funny to hear players think about like how they watched you growing up and looked up to you. How does it feel when you hear your teammates being like obviously they're your friends, but then they're like, wow, that's him.
It's crazy because a lot of the guys, even like Ivan, he said he was like 10 years old when I got drafted.
The Buffalo Bills select Stefan Gilmore, defensive back, South Carolina.
A lot of guys see me play, early in my career, and, they kind of see me, they kind of nervous around me, but, they come full circle. You just never know. I play with a lot of guys that I look up to, so I just try to, feed them as much information as I can so one day they can do the same.
When you arrived here, you said Minnesota was high on your list of places to land. How has it lived up to that expectation?
It's been great, just the people around the organization, from the trainers, the coaches. It's been great, teammates. It's no egos, everybody just here just trying to get better, and that's what I like. It's all ball, and that's what I'm used to, so it's been great. We started off hot, hit a little adversity, but we were ready to bounce back.
While Stefan Gilmore expects that bounce back, he's not the only one. Vikings head coach Kevin OConnell spoke about what he thinks the offense needs to do this week to get back in the win column on this week's episode of X's and O's, including his excitement at the return of TJ Hockenson.
I just think it's important that we still build within the confines of rhythm, timing. I'd like to, try to get the ball to our playmakers in space. Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. It'll be great to have 87 roaming the field again out there. Roaming the middle of the field is a huge, huge bonus for our offense. But all of which, I'm excited to see Sam continue to do what he's done, which is, move the team and make some high quality throws. I think we mix that in with, a little bit more of a transition type fast break offense where we can get the ball out, get the ball in space to our guys and not ask Sam to hold the ball in that pocket, play with that rhythm, timing, and decision making that I think has really gotten into a pretty unique place. I think he's 3rd or 4th in the league in quarterback rating and improving every single week. And my expectation is that's going to continue to happen throughout the season. I've been really proud of Sam.
With TJ Hockenson, different situation than 2022, but I would imagine you're quite excited as the play caller to have him back. And I can't figure out who's more excited, you or Justin Jefferson. And Justin has Jordan and Aaron Jones and all that kind of stuff. But I'll never forget that FedEx game, man. I mean, TJ had been here like 4 minutes. You target him 9 times, he catches them all for 70. Oh, by the way, Jefferson goes like 7, 115, and 1 in that game after he had been a little slow there up to the TJ game. So you're quite excited, aren't you?
Yeah, I just think when you think about the NFL passing game, PA, especially when you've got a guy like Justin, you've got a guy like Jordan Addison, who we absolutely want to continue to find, more and more targets for. And really, when you look at the tape from the Thursday night game, he was the primary on some plays where if we could just find one more click to get the ball off, or we can get that thing out in rhythm, maybe Jordan has an even bigger impact in that football game. But I think when you talk about TJ Hockenson, Aaron Jones, you're talking about guys that don't necessarily trigger the passing strength, we like to call it, in the defense. Where does that nickel go in a 2-by-2 formation? Well, a lot of times he goes to where the 2 receivers are. So wherever your tight end and said other receiver is, if you want to play all that split safety defense to Justin Jefferson, that's going to require, the Sam linebacker to have a major role in coverage on TJ Hockenson within zones, within man. You can kind of dictate a little bit just by your personnel and how you deploy them when you have that kind of skill sets and talent. We've done some things over the first 5, 6, 7 weeks here with Aaron Jones to utilize him in the pass game. We'll still do those things, but now we get to incorporate TJ into it as well, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
When TJ Hockenson makes his 2024 season debut, it will have been 315 days since his injury, but who's counting? He may not be the only Viking making his season debut on Sunday. The Vikings traded the Jaguars for left tackle Cam Robinson after Christian Darrisaw suffered a season-ending injury against the Rams. I got the chance to catch up with PFF's lead NFL draft analyst Trevor, who had high praise for the move.
Yeah, I think it's a really great move by the Vikings. And again, sort of going back to my first answer, it talks about how much further along this team really feels like they are. Because if it was a season where, all right, yeah, I mean, we're going in the right direction, but really we're looking to hit the gas pedal for next year and beyond. Okay, maybe you don't make this move. Maybe you're okay with just saying, hey, this year it's going to kind of be what it's going to be. Unfortunately, Christian Darrisaw gets hurt, but Darrisaw goes down, and he's one of the most talented tackles in the game, make no mistake. And, Cam Robinson has struggled throughout his time in Jacksonville, but this year in particular, he has one of his highest pass blocking grades throughout the first half of this season. In fact, his pressure percentage is just 3.7%. It's one of the lowest marks that he's had on the year. So that's really what you are trying to get back in this trade. So I think it was a really good move by them to say, no. We're not just going to sit here and sulk and be like, man, bad luck, Christian Darrisaw got hurt. We're going to continue to try to win this year. We really feel as though even though we're in a heavily competitive division, we've got a chance to be at the very top of it. And so I love the move. I love the aggressiveness. It just shows that this team isn't in a place where, they were surprised at all whatsoever with the success that they're having. They were very ready to make this move, and that's sort of a hat tip and a salute to the pro personnel scouting department that they have to make sure they keep tabs on everyone in the league. All of these players, they already have their opinion and their evaluation of guys that you could make moves for, so that when something unfortunate like this happens, they go, okay, what are our options? We know who we have in reserve. We know who's on our team right now, but does it make sense to go out and get one of these guys? From the way that Robinson has been playing so far this season, especially in the pass blocking category, that is, in my opinion, a really good flyer and a really good trade to make for them.
How is it for a left tackle to be plugged into the offense? Like, how difficult is that for them?
Yeah, I mean, offensive line, we talk about it all the time. It's the continuity that really means the most.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those spots along the team where obviously football is a team game in general, but it really is like a sum of their parts kind of a thing. Like there can be no weak link in the chain or on the caterpillar, if you will. And so it's going to take a little bit of time, I think, for Cam Robinson to get that chemistry down between, the guards that are next to him, just all the rules of how they're going to slide protections, what they like to do, because you could say individually, all right, this guy's pretty good one-on-one on an island, but okay, when you're sliding protection maybe to the other direction, that chemistry that you have with the guard and the timing of combo blocks and when to get to the next level and just understanding everybody around you means a lot. You talk about the tight ends that might be next to you, the running backs who could help you with chip blocking, like all of that chemistry still needs to come. But again, when you are looking at what Robinson has been able to do this year with the Jaguars, he has been their best pass blocker. And he was already sort of a name that we talked about maybe being on the move for this team. And I think it makes a lot of sense for the Vikings to be this group that you bring him in. And so it'll take a little bit of time. It's hard to really imagine like, okay, he's going to have that chemistry right away. But Robinson, you got to think about this too, because these guys are human beings. He's going from a team that it was very frustrating in Jacksonville. They were a team that pretty much all their playoff aspirations are out the window, and now you are trading him to a contender to now have more motivation to play even better is certainly what you hope. And so it's going to take a little bit of time, but again, I just think that it was a worthwhile move for them to make with Robinson.
For that entire interview and all of our game preview content, check out Vikings.com, the Vikings YouTube page, or the Vikings app. Now, the countdown is on. Sunday night football between the Vikings and the Colts, presented by Land O'Lakes. The atmosphere is going to be phenomenal with a light show, the loudest crowd in the league, and the mascot game at halftime. We can't wait to see you there. Thanks for tuning into Vikings Weekly, and we'll see you next week.
Touchdown, Vikings! 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.